Hello year one, it's Friday today and we are going to get started with your last maths lesson of the week if you have the year 2 workbook, okay? So if you've got this booklet, you are with me today and we are going to be working on page 16 again today, but you don't need your workbook yet. We're going to warm our brains up. So you will need your whiteboard pen or some paper and a pencil, okay? So if you've not got those, pause the video and go and get them and then come back to me. Brilliant. So let's have a look then at our learning question for the day. Can I continue to solve division problems? And you know by now that this has been the same learning question all week. And that's because we've been working really hard to make sure that we are superstars at division. So today is the last day and we're going to make sure that we use all of the skills that we've learned, all of the methods that we've learned to show me that we are ready to move on, okay? So to warm up today, we're going to have a word problem because yesterday we started looking at word problems, didn't we? And we learned how sometimes they can seem tricky, but we take out the key information like we do in our comprehension. We pull out the facts that we need to turn it into a number sentence. And you were brilliant at that. So I want you now to pause the board and you're going to read your number problem, your word problem, and turn it into a number problem, okay? Now remember, adults, if you can help, do, but don't read the question for them, okay? It's really important that they have a go at reading the words independently and turning it into a number problem. Now, I'm not going to ask you for the answer to this today. I want you to send me your answer, and then I know that you've worked it out and you haven't just looked at us doing it together. So a real big challenge to get your brain warmed up today, but I would like you to do it first before we do anything else, okay? So pause the board and have a really good go. Brilliant. So moving on then, I just want to say a fantastic Friday, well done, to Finley and to Samuel. This week you have blown me away with your maths learning at home. I asked you to find objects at home to help you solve division problems, and that's exactly what you've done. Finley, you have so many cars, you lucky boy, and you have used them to help divide, which is amazing. And Samuel, you've taken a leaf out of my book and you've used pasta and a number line as well. So I can see here that you are using all of the methods to make sure that you are superstar dividers. So well done. So then, moving on to today's learning. We are going to be looking at questions number 1 and 4 in our booklet on page 16. And if you can remember, yesterday we did questions 2 and 3. So it's a little bit different. We're going to do the other ones on the page today. But it's because those other questions all talk about the same thing and they all want us to find half, okay? So my first question is, find half of the number 10. Now, all that the word half means is to be divided, which remember means to be shared by 2. So when you are finding half, you need to take the number and make sure that it's in 2 equal groups. And we can write this as a number sentence. So to find half of the number 10, what do you think that's going to look like in a number sentence? We need to start with the amount, don't we? The larger number, which is the number 10, well done. And now we know that half means to divide by 2. So we're going to add our divide symbol, and we're going to divide it by 2. And don't forget, at the end of your number problem, you always need your equal sign. Now, when we look at numbers up to 10, sometimes when we are finding half, we should be able to find them in our heads. And that's because we can use our number bonds. Okay, so I know, because I remember my number bond, that to make 10, I need 5 and 5. Okay, I know that 5 and 5 make 10, then I know that half of 10 is going to be 5, because those two numbers are the same. So they equal my total, don't they? And I can work that out in my head. But to check my learning, I can use any of those methods that we have practiced this week. So I'm going to use 10 objects and I'm going to divide them into 2 equal groups. And you can do this with me on your whiteboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I know I've got 10 objects. I know there's 5 in each group, and I know I've got 2 groups. So I know that 10 divided by 2 or shared by 2 is 5, which means that I've got half of my number. So half of 10 is 5. Now, let's have a look at some other numbers and see if we can find half using that method. Now remember what I said, when we are finding half, sometimes we know what half is. Okay, we know how to share the number evenly just by looking, and that's really going to help us when we come to larger numbers. But I want you to turn each one of these word problems into a number sentence first. So we'll do the first one together. Find half of the number 6. So I know that half is divided by 2. So I know I need to start with 6. 6 divided by 2 equals. So I've changed my word problem into a number sentence. And I know that divided by 2 means half. So I need to find half of 6. Now I know that in my head because I can see 6. I know 6 is made up of 3 and 3, and that's an even number. But to check my learning again, I could count in 2s until I get to 6. I could use a number line, or I could use objects. So let's count in 2s until we get to 6 and see if my answer is 3, like I thought it was going to be. Are we ready? 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3. We were right. So like I said, when we are using numbers up to 10, it can seem quite easy because we can identify sometimes without working out what half of the number is going to be. But before you move on today, I would like you to complete these 3 number sentences on your whiteboard or on some paper, showing me the methods that you are using to work them out. If you are using your head and you know them, then that's an even better job. So you could just let your adult know to give me a tick so I know that you've used a mental method, okay? So take 5 minutes now to solve those 3 problems and then come back to me and we can move on to the next slide, okay? Brilliant. So then, now sometimes when we find half, our number may be bigger than 10. Okay, so let's have a look at what that might look like if our number is bigger than 10. So here it says, find half of the number 40. Wow, that's a big number and that's scary. But I'm going to show you a little trick to help you. So first, we're going to do as we would always do, and we're going to turn our word problem into a number sentence. So we know that we need to start with our number, our amount at the end, and that is 40. And it's asking us to find half, which means I need to divide it by 2. And I never forget my equal sign. Okay, so we've done one part of our problem already. We've turned our word problem into a number problem. Now, it's asking us to find half of 40. Now I could get 40 objects and I could share them into 2 groups to find half. And if you need to, that's fine, you can still do that. But I'm going to show you a little trick. Now we know that 40 is a multiple of 10, don't we? It's a tens number. So if I was to cover up the 0 for a second, what number do I have? 4. Okay, so if I just had 4 and I want to divide that by 2, we've gone back, haven't we, to our single digit numbers, to those numbers that we know what half of is in our brains. And I know that half of 4, and I split them down the middle, is 2. So I know that I've already solved a little bit of our problem. But remember, because 40 is a multiple of 10 and it's a tens number, what do I need to do to my answer to make it back into a tens number? If I covered up my 0 to begin with, what do I need to do? I need to make sure I add my 0 back on, so I multiply it by 10. So if I add my 0 back on, I now know that 40 divided by 2 is 20, okay? So using a little trick there of taking the tens away, but you must remember to put it back on. So I would like you now, again, to have a little go of trying to find half of the number 40 using my method, and then I would like you to find half of the number 60 before you move on, okay? And you can use that method for both of those. Once you've done that, we can move on again. Okay, now this time it's going to be even trickier. Sometimes when we have a number in our tens, we can't divide it evenly on its own. And this number this time is 30. Okay, so if our word problem is asking us to find half of the number 30. So we need to first write this into a number problem, and then that will help us see what we need to do next. So to find half of the number 30, I know I need to write 30 divided by how many? 2. Brilliant. Okay, now can I divide 3 into equal numbers? So if I take away my 0, remember, like we did on the last slide, and I just have 3, can I divide 3 equally? No, you're right. So I'm going to show you a little trick. And can you remember a few weeks ago we talked about the word partitioning, and we got very, very confused, and we all went, no, not that word, but in the end we knew how to do it, okay? And we are going to partition the number 30 so that we can find half without having to use 30 counters, okay? And all we're going to do is we're going to go to the next 10, okay? So I know that 30 is made up of 20 and 10 more, okay? And I know that I can find half of 20 really easily, can't I? Because half of 2 is 1. So first of all, we're going to find half of 20. 20 divided by 2 equals, okay? And remember, using our trick, taking away our 10, we know that 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 20 divided by 2 is 10. We're adding our 0 back on, aren't we? So now, we've solved 20 divided by 2. And now we're going to solve 10 divided by 2. And remember, we did this on our first slide, didn't we? And we know that half of 10 is 5. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, so now I found out that half of 20 is 10 and half of 10 is 5. So all I need to do now to find my answer is to add these two together. Okay? So 10 plus 5 equals, let's count on in our heads, so we've got 10 in our heads, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Well done. So 30 divided by 2 equals 15. Okay, I'm going to put that in a circle there. So remembering that if our number isn't easily divided, we can partition the number to find our answer, okay? And you will find that when you are using numbers that are odd or that can't be divided into 2 easily, this method will be easier, okay? So in your booklet today, you have got some numbers which you might need to use that method for. You might need to use it for the number 90. We've got the number 30 there, we've just done it together, and the number 50, okay? And that's why we've used that method, because instead of getting 90 counters, you can use the partitioning method, okay? Taking a 10 away and finding the next tens number that you can divide by 2 easily. So, again, pause the board, have a go at this before you move on to make sure that you're secure with the method, and if you need to, rewind the video so that you can watch me go through this section again, okay? So then lastly today, I am going to introduce another way that you can find half, and you only have 2 questions in your book with this one, okay? You only have 2 questions, so we're just going to do an introduction. Now sometimes half can be represented like this. Doesn't this look funny? It's a 1 and then there's a straight line which is a little bit like a subtraction sign, and then there's a 2 underneath. And this is called, I'll write it down for you because it's a tricky word. This is called a fraction. Oh my goodness me, a fraction. Have we heard of that word before? Well, next week we are going to start on our fractions. So this is a great way to introduce fractions to you. So this fraction here means half. So we know that we have the word half. We also have divided by 2, which means half. And now we have this, which means half. So if I saw a question that said half of 10, what would that look like in a division sum? I know you know this, we've done it twice today. So it is the same as 10 divided by 2. Because remember, half means divided by 2, and our new symbol is the fraction which represents half. So when you get to these 2 questions in your booklet today, I want you to pause on this board so you can see that half only means to be shared by 2 or divided by 2. So when you see this symbol, you're not going to go, oh, it's a fraction, I don't know what to do, because I've just shown you how simple it is. So turn it from this form into a number sentence, and you will find your answer as quick as a flash, because this week we have worked really hard on division, and I know that as soon as you turn it into something with this symbol now, you know what to do, okay? So remembering then today, you are working on just question number 1 and question number 4. So we will finish our week with a full page of answers because we've done these 2 yesterday, okay? And then we are ready to move on next week. So you have worked really hard this week. Have a lovely weekend, enjoy and have a rest and have 2 days off, and I'll see you on Monday.